universe, fusion, vortex energy, ionic acoustic levitation, gravitons, the ultimate fundamental particle in the universe, the underpinning geometry of the universe, morphogenic fields, flux thruster atom pulsar. Okay? This is what the Rodin coil, they named it after me. I had a different name for it. That's the Rodin coil. I call it the flux thruster atom pulsar. But it didn't catch on. That's my logo. Times divide plus and minus in one logo. That's because I figured out how to do all the functions of math instantly. Okay, the topic is called Point Energy Creation Physics. My company is aerodynamics. It's not the air in the atmosphere. It's the lumiferious ether, as our very informative gentleman friend Alistair was mentioning. But it's an inertia ether on top of that. It's not a static, stationary ether. The conventional education and training that everyone had is they still related to kind of as like a loquacious jello. I hate calling something a loquacious jello, but you know, with jello food colors and everything else, it's not a jello, this invisible fluid. It's a pulse, it's a surge, and it has a vector, it has a phasing, it has every attribute and property that we can imagine. And that's what we're going to learn about.
Are you saying it's within 3D?
It creates 3D. It is inseparable from 3D. It makes it 3D. Everybody here is representative, is Professor Glennon. Think of it as if he doesn't win your case here, then he goes home to his office and you all go to jail. He's going to represent you. Yeah, you're the representative. Will you ask the first question? What it is it's linear. It doesn't bend. The whole topic today is about the number 9. Now, number 9 has been a big mystique in everything we know. Cloud 9, love potion number 9, the most great name of God equals number 9 in Baha'i scriptures. Baha is the equation for it, 2151. We'll come to that. To answer your question specifically about this energy is the only thing that comes from the whole, from zero, the vortex. It goes out linearly in all directions. Nothing can resist it. Nothing can resist it. It penetrates everything. It leaves its reticulation pattern. It leaves a grain. It animates everything. It is the source of the non-decaying spin of the electron. You take this energy away and the universe will become destitute and void. Okay?
But you can't really talk about it as linear because that's reference to 3D.
It's your z-axis. Okay? You have your vertical axis, your horizontal axis, and then you have your z-axis, which is distinct from the surface topology, okay, of the logarithmic spiral. Okay? Okay. Okay. We will cover this. This topic will reemerge, what we're addressing right now, every 2 minutes. What he just started will never be finished. We're going to tackle it from every avenue. Okay? It's going to be like a lion, and we're going to grab it by the tail. Okay, so this coil is what a coil looks like. This is a standard conventional coil. It's all parasitic. These were certified results from Hewlett Packard that I am indeed getting double the output, that our mathematics and numbers were not false, that they were authentic. They validated it. We used millions of dollars of test equipment, and this is the Rodin coil without the parasitics as compared to a standard coil, showing that there is not resistance compared. There is not harmonic discordance. There is not friction. My whole goal is to get rid of friction, to get rid of resistance, is to make electricity synchronized. And the kind of electricity that I'm making is synchronized electricity. I'm walking here like on a boat. Okay. This is a standard coil, but I'm going to turn it into the Rodin coil. A standard coil is based on how many wraps you have around the outside. Those are called turns. And they say that determines then your magnetic output, inductance and stuff. It's totally primitive science. What I found, what they were shocked at Hewlett Packard is nobody could even say it's because of this. They tried to make up, they said there must be some other reason. Everybody said that they came to the conclusion, it's what I said from the beginning, it is the geometry alone of the wire that's producing all this extra magnetism. Okay? They said there would be a 20% savings in copper alone using this design for big transformers. They said even a 5% of copper would have been immense. Of course, that wasn't my goal to use alternating current. My goal was to obsolete it and get rid of it. I'm a just tear the veils down with a roaring, crashing sound kind of guy. And my goal is to replace it with a whole other type of technology, a whole other type of energy, and do it with a big noise. Okay. So how I change this coil, okay, we have two wires, okay, first of all, and this is the best we can do on art, so please understand, it's light, it's portable, and that's why I use these tarps. They're wonderful mediums, and yes, you can use my idea. Anytime you need to make a presentation, it only costs $7, and it sure beats a $500 sign from retail. So, and these are, I'm using dry erase, and these other ones were permanent markers, and it's the big tip. Okay, so what I did was I had two wires. One's red, one's blue. One of them, the electricity goes out. The other one, the electricity goes in. Everyone follow me? Pretty easy? And now it's always based on thirds. It's called a binary triplet. Okay? It's real important, the fact that I'm talking about something that's binary, but it's really a binary thirds. And I know that's a mind boggler. How can that be? But I'll show you. Okay, so the third you always leave alone. It's an empty space. You don't put anything there. That's where the ether-on flux magnetic field. In other words, let's just say that's where the field occurs. Okay?
Are you doing your coil now?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to turn it into my coil. Right now it's a conventional coil. See how steep the slope is? That's a normal coil. The Rodin coil, it's a very gradual type incline. See how slow it twirls in, like water in a whirlpool? Okay? It's the least acute incline as you can have in winding this coil on this using 3 parts. Any questions, Charlie?
Well, I feel pretty ignorant in asking this, but you have to have alternating current to generate that.
I'm using, and it's only from how I interpret my numbers. I think it's PDC, pulse direct current. To tell you the truth, though, I didn't make this coil. I'm not the electrical engineer. I am. We all know I'm the presenter today, okay? And I hate to say that I'm not the person who does all this stuff. Essentially, you, Charlie, and everyone else are going to have to be the ones who's going to have to coax out of these inventions how to activate them and how to harness it, okay? And that's what it takes in electrical engineering. You just don't go and give any electrical engineer an invention, a coil, and say, turn it on. They have to play with it. They have to finesse. They have to have a finesse to what would be a term for it? To warm, you have to massage it. Okay, you have to massage the coil. You have to work with the different type of sine waves. You have to work with the different types of voltage. A lot of people say it's not an electrical coil. They say it's a field generator coil. It's totally different than an electrical coil. Okay? That's certainly true, because the magnetic field on this coil, they've never seen a magnetic field like this. The field is not like the standard conventional coil. The field is contained in the torques, and they don't have to shield it. And the FDC, what is it, FCC, the airplanes, whatever, they're happy with these kind of coils because they don't need shielding. But the Rodin coil doesn't have its field on the inside. My coil is a total inversion type coil. All my field is evenly distributed over the surface of the coil. It's just the opposite of what the other one's doing. I think we should share names. Okay? We'll start this way, we'll come around.
Kiva.
Hi, Kiva.
Goveen.
Gori.
Goveen.
Govig. Hi, Govig.
Jiva.
Jiva.
Maj.
Maj.
Judy.
Judy. Charlie.
Sunshine.
Sunshine.
Brian.
Brian. And Marco, Herb, and Bob. Okay. Now, so in turning this into a Rodin coil, how I do it is I go from 1 to 2, Okay? So the blue wire here will go all the way across through the vortex, and we'll go over here to connect to there. And then 2 will go to 3. It'll come out over here. It's kind of hard to tell where it comes out, so I just better go like that. It'll go like this. And then 3 will go to 4 over here. Where's 4? Right here. Okay? And it's going in spires. Okay? So, and then 1, 2, 3. And then 4 will go to 5. Is that right? Which is way over here. Now the important thing is I began at 1. I passed it on the 1, 2, on the third time around. It's already going in spires, these wires. Normal coils, they just begin, go around, and stop where they began. But what I'm doing is I'm actually building a star, okay, which is real significant. Okay. And now here's the thing. Once you pass in the spire here, and it crosses to here, this winding is at a right angle to that winding. All my fields now have a unique angle to them. And on top of it, I'm creating, though you can't see it, I do have a chart on it, an invisible polarization in between the spires where they pass each other. Okay, does everyone follow that a little bit? It's okay. I just wanted you to see this chart and just get an idea how it's wound. Now there's 2 wires, so that was the blue wire. So the red wire would have been doing the same thing, which would have been going 1, 2, and it's the space, remember, is always in between them. 3, where next? 1, 2, oh, was it 3? I was 5. Oh, well.
3's across from it.
3's over here. There we go. 3, 4, 5. Alrighty. Thank you.
Is that one winding, you say?
2. It's 2 windings.
The red and the blue are constitute one winding each.
No. Separate circuits, separate wires, not ever to be related.
2 windings.
It's a bifiliar coil. There's 2 windings. Exactly right. Just like male-female. It's a duality. Except it's really trinary because an invisible space in between
But
them.
the red and the blue are the 2 windings.
Exactly. Right. And the white is the higher dimensional energy. Okay, which is going to be explaining your number 9. It's interesting?
No, I was trying to figure out what you meant by one winding, because it's going to 3 different, going to...
It's one wire that eventually comes around. Now we're going to look at an easier chart. So we'll look at a chart that depicts it a little bit easier. Okay. Let's see if I have where that chart is. Here it is. Okay. So the chart that depicts that a little is this one right here. This is one winding, this is the other winding, and the space is always represented by 396. 3 plus 6 equals 9. 3 and 3 is 6. So the dotted line is always 3s and 6. 3, it's going 3, 6, anything that's a multiple of 3 you leave alone. Okay? So here's the windings, and a half, so 1 goes to here, to here, to here, here's your right angle. 1 and 10 are right angles to one another, which was the third one. 1, 2, 3, now on the fourth. Everyone follow that? And this is one wire, this is 2 wire, but I have to separate them, because when you look at this, you can't tell that there's 2 together. Okay. This is the construct for perfection for everything in the universe is based on that, which you will know shortly. They also use this to produce fusion. This is a fusion reactor. And I call one the right doubling circuit, one the left doubling circuit, the winding schematic for inexhaustible energy. I call the primal point of unity is the hole right here where the emanation's coming out of. Number of permutations defining the invisible. And that's what we're going to be learning is number of permutations, how they work. Okay? Can everyone see that real well? Yeah? Okay. Now, I might tell you that the reason I'm explain to you in such a technical fashion right now is because I needed some variation in how I've been presenting it mathematically. So this is kind of like my change of theme for me. So this is a whole different. So I'm instead explaining to you now this way because the other day I've been explaining in schools and I've been doing it mostly mathematically. But okay, so here's my flyer on where I give classes. That's been at the Manoa Innovation Center. I give them at many different places. These are the topics. Jane gave me a beautiful flyer. It's in the shape of a pyramid. All my friends who helped me on this, it's all been a free gift. They donate their time and help. I'm very blessed for that because otherwise I would not even be around. I'd be sleeping on a shipwrecked beach someplace. Now don't laugh. This is from my homepage. Okay. And this is, that's my homepage number, rodin.org. These are my letters, correspondences, web and page mail, articles, scientific results. We haven't gotten hardly anything up there yet. But we'll have it up there in about 30 days. We've got pictures up there so far. I, Marco Rodin, do declare with witnesses present that I am hereby giving to the world to use my complete work, aerodynamics, the dandelion puff principle, point energy creation physics, in return for one-third of the gross of all income derived therefrom. This is to be based upon the honor system with no legal recourse by either and all parties concerned. Everything shall be voluntary. Thus, my copyright and intellectual property is now placed in the trust of the public domain. May all of mankind profit therefrom. Further, it is my will that any money derived therefrom shall be used to print and disseminate the hidden words of the high sacred scriptures. Much aloha. And that's for me. Those are my fingerprints. And this is when I started making the coil correctly because I'm making it out of a plasma gas. This says, paid $100 for a prototype flux duster atom pulsar Rodin coil made out of glass tubes and argon gas to be hand-blown by George Glasser. Would you believe his last name is Glasser? From time immemorial, they've been blowing glass from Germany. He escaped out of Germany in I think it was 85. He just hung in there a little longer. He could have walked out. And he didn't tunnel out or anything. They actually threw him out. It's interesting because they threw him out because of the fact that they put him in jail for a year. And when it was time to release him, he said he was going to tell him how bad the system was and stuff. And he was just such an outspoken guy, they just threw him out. Which is, I guess it was easier than fighting him any longer. So, and his family's from time immemorial been blowing glass. Okay. This is, let's see. This is some of my places where I've taught. Airspace America, George Bush was the master of ceremonies. There was 30 congressmen pregnant, like it. They all had...
Freudians.
Well, I was just going to say, they all had red jackets and black ties. It wasn't really all that pretty, really. And everyone I had like my own huge dining room table. It was just hard work, and nobody understood a thing anyway. But they said I had the most revolutionary propulsion system ever created. And they expect me deploying electronics. General Atomics is right here, who work in fusion. Well, I decided I better do my work in DNA, which was my goal. So I actually, as you are going about to learn about DNA, figured out the secret of DNA. And so I published at the biggest genetic engineering conference in the world. This is the most heavily attended in the world. These are all doctors with PhD. Here's senior research scientist. Here's another doctor, VP, process development. And here's me. I should have been in some title. I guess we'll call me resident, I guess, what? Resident mind jogger or whatever. Mind jogger. And then the response to my work here went to the German Journal of Oncology, which studies cancer. So my work's of extreme importance. To me, your conclusions are very likely. I recommend your paper for publication in the German Journal of Oncology. Please keep me informed of your further work. Sincerely, Dr. Hans Nieper. That was very flattering. I expect people to endorse my work. I'll tell you something, though. I get huge endorsements. Number one, I can teach anywhere in the world I want. But the higher the endorsements, they understand very, very little of my work. Very little. But they immediately they had certain experiences in their life over their 10, 20, 30, 40 years in their profession. And as soon as they see the work and they look at it, it makes a connection of something happened 10 years ago. Like the president of an organization, Bob Ulick, said, I had the most detail and quality ever done on Torah. It's the best he ever saw. Then he goes on and tells me about the story about how this man was working on the same thing, and the military held him captive, and he had to actually climb over the fence to get out of that compound. All these weird things. But I get all these incredible compliments. But do they really understand my work? No, they don't. And that's what my goal is. Okay, my goal is not... I went here to get my work understood, not to get these endorsements. I started at the top because I thought it would be the easiest. Okay, actually the easiest is educating you. I learned the lesson. And it's you who's going to have to figure out how everyone else can learn this. Does that make sense? Okay. Okay, the first thing next I'm going to do is put these over here. Put this here. Here's our good old multiplication table. And I hope I don't do anything wrong. I'm going to try to take down our coil. So, here's a side view of the coil. Here's the emanations coming out. These green arrows emanations are the focal center. It is spirit. It is what Charlie asked about, which was, what was your question earlier again, Charlie? What is the 9, the z-axis?
Yeah. It was when you talk about linearity, you were implying 3D because that's really a metaphor in the 3D system.
Right.
And
Linearity. Linearity creates 3D. Okay? In other words, when the ivy vines are crawling in the jungle, okay, and everything's warped and curved, they have to have a substrate. They have to have something linear to wrap around, which is the tree limbs and branches. Okay, we'll come back to that again. Okay. So, I guess my assistant can help me here. Uh-oh. Now, Sunshine's a Baha'i, which is a religion. I'm of that same religion. And because I never undertalk an audience, that is the most great name of God. That is a symbol. That's God's petroglyph. In other words, while we were all doing our own petroglyph stuff, God was doing His too. Okay? And what was the purpose of our petroglyphs? But to essentially find the Supreme, the most great being. All coherent intelligence, perfect brainwaves, as Spock would say. So, let's keep me from talking. We'll just start. I take a number, archetypal value. I say 4 times 1 equals 4. 4 times 2 equals 8. 4 times 4 is 16, 20, 24, 28, 32, 36. Everyone get that? It's very important for your math children, Judy. Okay. I then have another column of 4s over here, but I don't have these numbers. I have other funny numbers. Like 36 down here, I have a 9. Now, where did that 9 come from? I casted out 9s. It also can be called cross addition, horizontal math, or summing. So I said 3 plus 6 equals 9. Okay? 3 plus 2. I found it's easier for you to understand by going backwards in 4s. So instead of starting down like this, I'm going backwards. It's really easy when you do things backwards sometimes. So 3 plus 2 equals 5. Right? So I have a 5 now. 2 plus 8 is 10. 1 plus 0 is 1. 24 is 6. 20 is 2. 16 is 7. 12 is 3. 8 is 8. And 4 is 4. So what I've done is I've archetypal value. It's hard to say word. Okay? Over here I'm calling it quantum numerology. course, 45, it still equals 9. That's not by accident. Here we have 40 is 4. 35 is 8. 30 is 3. 25 is 7. And here I'm saying telltale numbers. Hope Edgar Allan Poe doesn't sue me for this, taking his title. And I actually take the multiplication table and reduced it from standard multiplication table to a very simple multiplication table. I call it a kid's multiplication table. Okay. Here I say 0 is not a member of any multiplication series. Here I'm saying preferred frame of reference explained through number patterns. It's a little too deep right now. I also say time and frequency, too deep right now. We were talking about time before we started. And we used to think of Leon Russell as the master of time, space, and reality. And what I have done is I've actually got a hands-on grip of time. Okay? Time to me is a phasing, a sequence order, is what Charlie is referring to as, how do we say it again, the invisible energy? The linearity. Our world of time does not have any linearity. We try to think in time as a continuous sequence that's a straight line. Time is not straight in our physical world of math. That's why we have so much trouble functioning as human beings, because in our mind, time is straight. In the higher dimensions which our mind occupies, time is straight. Time follows a logarithmic spiral of infinity, and this is the pathway that time takes. Okay? And this chart is going to explain time. Okay, so let's follow the pathway of time. We have a circle. This is supposed to be round. Unfortunately, though, it was very hard for me to make round. So it doesn't look round, but it is. It's called the circle of life. It would more correctly look like this. I guess I can probably set it over here.
It's the shape of the Tibetan endless knot.
You guys speak real loud.
The shape is the shape of the Tibetan endless knot. It's the eternal interconnectedness of all.
You know that shape?
It's actually more like the shape that one.
But that knot theory and knots and how women do their knots in their hairs in certain cultures and all different things, you're right, is exactly this field. It's also called forget what it's called. It has to do with wine bottles. What's it called? Mobius strip. But there's a word for it.
Lemniscate too. The idea of a symbol for infinity is very much like that. Only it's round.
You gotta speak loud. Lemna?
The lemniscate is what we always see as infinity, which is rounded. If you take the corners out of that, that's the lemniscate.
And what I brought back in, what my contribution is, I brought in the intersection points. I brought in the matrix to it, so we can have, it's called the underpinning geometry of the universe. It's real important, because if you can have a lattice structure, which is what this is showing, interferometry pattern, see how it gets bigger and smaller, they're little whole screens, but they make bigger patterns when they overlap and stuff, then you can actually scale it from microscopic to macroscopic to infinity. It's called fractals, or self-similar growth, recursive scrolling. It's essentially this moire pattern. It's the secret of how everything works. This circle, this shape in here, and the corners and stuff, is what I want you to be experts on. We have three elements. We have the infinity symbol, the lazy 8. We have the green element, which is the pyramid, let's say. It does not connect on the base. It connects at the top. That's very important because it's a vector. And we have the gold right here, which is the emanation coming out of the center, okay, which is the primal point of unity. It's zero, where, and when. Why do I call this Easter eggs? Why do I call it cookie crumbs? And why do I say, well, the bounded infinity is what this is. Numbers are real. Because I'm about to show you, when we do a computer program, the programmers leave us little messages, if we are lucky enough to find them. God left us big messages. Okay? And these are what are called his signs and attributes. Okay? Everyone still with me? Okay. So, we count on the circumference. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. But as I already said, time on the third dimension moves in a spiral, and it does not move linearly. So I'm going to show you, and everything starts from the inside out in creation. Everything inside out arose inside out. So we're going to now stick on time, though, and we're going to follow the pathway of time in our physical world, third dimension, curving, warped universe. Number one, we have no trouble with. One God, one universe. What does it do? It doubles to 2. What does 2 do? It doubles to 4. Well, that's definitely how things work in our universe. We have 4 cells, 8 cells in conception when we're conceived. Then we have 16, 32, 64, 128, 256. No trouble? Okay. Now 4 doubled and becomes 8. Okay? And 8 doubles and becomes 16. Okay? Now these charts I'm covering up, we're going to be coming back to, so you don't have to be concerned if you didn't see all the information. I'm going to actually reverse my path as well. So sure enough, I went 1, 2, 4, 8, 16. But on our circle here, we still have a 7. You see our 7 over here? Okay? Now, where did I get that 7 from? I said 1 plus 6 equals 7. No problem? As Alistair said, he said, like I'm going to repeat this. What did he say? Numerology is the something, something, something?
Yeah, we did that.
I forget what it said.
Yeah. Isn't that the problem with life? We hear all this great stuff and...
That's why we have this.
Right.
It's also interesting, though, we're casting out 9, so another way to think of that is that it's the remainder. When you divide 9 into 16, you get 7. It's the remainder. It's how many you've gone over.
Say it one more time.
If you divide 9 into 16, you get 1 and 7 left over, right?
Yeah, taking a mod.
Right, you're doing mod 9 arithmetic, actually, with the
Wait,
casting out
16 divided by 9 equals what?
equals 1 with remainder 7. Right?
No, it can't be.
Oh, yeah.
Because 16 is 1 plus 6 is 7.
Right.
Oh,
you're
one
looking at the
remainder 7?
You're looking at the remainder. Another way to look at what you're doing is to look at the remainder.
Oh.
This is casting out 9. You're casting out how many times 9 went into it, and you're looking at the number that's left over. So it's as if we say 12 o'clock, then we say 1 o'clock instead of 13 o'clock, because we're starting from 0 over again.
Yeah, we're going, just like you said, we're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then this is 10.
Yeah.
1 plus 0 is 1, 11, 1 and 1 is 2.
After you divide 9 into 10, you get 1 left over. So it's the excess of going around the clock once.
Well, Barney's going to be very thankful. He's our host, and we've been trying to get somebody to explain it clearly, and he just did it for us.
Yeah, so when you're divided, it turns out that you can just add the numbers, the digits together, and do your mod 9 arithmetic that way.
By adding them together?
By adding 1 and 6, you get the same as if you divided
Right.
9 into 16 and you look at the remainders. It works. I mean, and it's not too hard to show that either.
Right.
Mathematically.
Right. And you just did it real well. Right. So the reason I'm reducing these to single-digit numbers for you, everybody, is because I'm going to show you how to look at time. I could explain it more, but I'm going to be short-worded. Okay. So 16 doubled is 32. And I really mean see time. When I say look, everything I'm saying, I mean literally. And 3 plus 2 is 5. Everyone following that? This is a steel rail. You must stay on it. It's a train track. You can't go off it. Okay? Now 32 doubled is 64. And 6 and 4 is 10 is 1. Back to 1. 128, 11, 2. 256, 13, 4. 5, 12, 8, 1024, 7, etc. It'll go on infinitely, of course. Everyone follow that? Okay. Remember, I'm trying to show you how from the inside it crosses the axis, that it's very important that I'm trying to show you there's something inside it. There's something in the middle. Okay? No one's ever been able to see this inside the middle before. Okay? Okay. Now, assistant, Judy, please. Assistant, Judy, please. I need the Easter eggs. Would you please, while I'm explaining this, take out one Easter egg, anyone you want, and put it right where it belongs. Okay. There you have it. Okay. Goes together, right? You guys like Easter eggs? Yeah? Huh? There's nothing in them. I've been trying for weeks to figure out what to put in them. I can't figure it out. Oh, crystals. There we go. Put crystals in them. That's a good recommendation. Okay, I just flipped the chart. Oops, too soon for this one. It's okay that you saw it, though. No point in having your mind race ahead, though, because the secret is we got to be calm, cool, and collected, then we can assimilate better. Relaxed as we can be, and as comfortable as we can be. Isn't that relaxing? Okay, here we have going backwards. We see that the 1 connects to the 5. Okay? So we're going to go backwards instead. So a half of 1 is 0.5. A half of 0.5, okay, and there's a 5 matching a 5. Then a half of 0.5 is 0.25. But 2 plus 5 equals 7. This is where it starts to suddenly hit home that you see that I really am meaning perfection when I say perfection. And what does perfection mean in your life? This is when it starts getting personal to you. And when you start taking it internally. Okay, so now 0.25 is half of 0.25, and 0.25, half of that is 0.125. Well, 1 plus 2 plus 5 equals an 8, still. These numbers are never changing, they're never moving. A half of 0.125 equals 0.0625, which equals 13, which equals 4. Half of 0.0625 equals 0.03125, which equals 11, which equals 2. Equals 0.01625 if we half it again, which is 1, and I can't say the numbers after that. I'm not going to try because it's just too long. Does everyone understand that so far? All I was doing is happening? Our end goal is to explain eternity. Because eternity is that linearity. This emanation is eternal. It's the light of eternity. And that's, we talk about in our aura, we talk about it in the radiance of good health. We call it prana, chi, orgone, spirit. Indians have many names for it.
That's timeless, though, isn't it?
No.
Or at least it's timeless in this. Well, I'm picturing it this way. Correct me, please. I picture it as.
Actually, I was wrong for saying no.
Out of the plane of the circuit of time, it comes as a perpendicular, and its intersection with the time is what we're seeing there, but it actually comes perpendicularly out. Okay, so in that sense, it's dimensionless only except when it intersects the...
Totally correct. Pretty heavy duty, huh?
Yeah.
I call it
So that's
omnidimensional.
why I say it's hard to talk about linearity, because we think of linearity in three dimensions, and it's really out of the dimension of 3D.
I suffered walking down the halls of UCLA. They say, well, you should be going to linear science. I go to the professors of linear science, and they don't, everything is curvature. And I'm saying, what's going on here? They don't even use the term.
But we're still modeling that in terms of what we see every day, and we're using models. It's very hard to depict that, because it's beyond our perception.
I was like 17 or 18, and I just said, the name on the door doesn't match in the science building with the math department. When they're saying linear science, linear mathematics, I said, where's the linear?
Yeah, but they're talking about something.
Totally. Yeah. What he just said was that this energy going out is omnidimensional. The only thing that we can have for an analogy for it is the queen on a chessboard. You know, the old king, he's really straddled, just one little step at a time. He's definitely hindered, okay? But, or a duke, or a king, or a castle, they move certain ways. But the queen can move diagonally, she can move horizontally, vertically, she can move any way she wants. She defines the whole game. She's our most prized piece in the game of chess. Okay. Yes, Judy?
I don't know if it's appropriate to say this, but in my mind, God and man, and then the Spirit of God. And the Spirit of God is the energy or action or the light that we have from God that connects us is the Spirit of God. If you want to go with that word, the Holy Spirit, or whatever you want to call it.
Spirit is fine.
But
if you want to be fancy, you can call it a theta particle, tachyon, why not? Graviton,
so is
monopole is fine.
What that is that what that is?
That's what that is. It is the glue that holds the universe together. Sometimes you call it, you know what you can call it? Sometimes people call it love.
Yeah.
Okay?
It's the it's the observer in the subatomic.
It's omnipotent, omniscient, all-observing. It is God's neurons. It is how He is seeing us, no matter what we're doing at all times, in all places, all the time. It's how He keeps us on a leash, too. But that's a little heavy duty.
And it can be the little voice.
And it can be what?
The little voice. You know, the teacher, the witness that we are, that we have a witness that...
That's right. Everything we do is inscribed in crystal light because of it. That's right. There is, just like in Zardoz, everything that people did had a little crystal going through their brain and it was preserved. And when their body died, they were just reinvented. And if they broke any of the laws, they just aged them. And if they were really bad, they were banished to the endless old people's ballroom. You remember that?
Old movie?
No one knows Zardoz? Well, you know, I lived in Beverly Hills, and, you know, it got to the point, what can you do? And they're always looking for unusual things there. And so Sean Connery played the lead, came out. He was a super advanced, he was then genetically engineered to an advanced being. This advanced civilization of mankind, one of them was broken the laws. They all wanted to die because this crystal was preserving everything they were. So he invented this most advanced man on the planet so he would kill them all and destroy their civilization so he could die, because everything was always preserved. So Sean Connery played this being that had total mind control, and he could control his emotions and feelings, and he essentially, it was a real fun movie. It was my kind of movie because it was a parody and a satire and a humor based on technology as being the solution to our requirements.
So it was like a government-controlled karma crystal? Or
That's exactly what it was. You got it exactly right. Government-controlled karma crystal. You're giving the world ideas. Okay. Since I said the word technology, I have a saying. Numbers are technology. Okay? Math is a science. And the universe is a machine. And spirit is mechanical. When we talk about God, when we talk about spirit, when we talk about human beings, we try to not get our head guillotined, cut off by offending the infrastructure, the hierarchical society, institutions, and governments, corporations. In the case here, the fact is that spirit is harnessable. It can be used as a work wheel. It is actually a source of drive that can be made into an engine. And it's the energy that God used to create our universe, our cosmology. And universe means one. There's only one universe, and that's the world of creation. There's many worlds within this world, but there's only one physical world of creation. And we'll go on. I'll come back to it. Now, we saw this again, 525.125. So, let's take a look at, let's see, this chart here. May fall, but that's all right.
Move this coasters out more so they're leather.
You're real heavy though. The powers of 10 come from half of 1 is 0.5. That would be 1 over 1, by the way, correct? 1, line 1. This would be 5 over 10. Okay? So the 10 goes there. This would be 25, line 100. 100 would go there. This would be 125 thousandths. Okay, so we have now 625 ten thousandths, 3,125 hundred thousandths. This is called the powers of 10. 1 times 10 is 10, 10 times 10 is 100, 10 times 100 is 1,000. 10 times 1,000 is 10,000. 100,000, million, 10 million, 100,000, 1 billion, 10 billion, 100 billion, a trillion. Everyone have it? Okay. Now, with the 10 right there, the third time that the 10 reoccurs again is exactly horizontal. But it had to go 1, 2, 3 to re-emerge again. This energy has a phasing in thirds. What I just did, sunshine, is you could hear it? Oh, good. Okay, so the 10s are horizontally lining up. These are horizontally lining up, and these are horizontally lining up. Why? Because there's a spray, okay, shooting out from the center. This is a spray. They're like little BBs. Okay. We see the points here are mirrors. They're totally different than these two and totally different from these two, just as the 10s are different from the 100s, are different from the 1s. Okay? So in our infinity, we have 3 horizontal lining ups of 3 pairs, with each pair being totally different from the other pairs. Does everyone see that? These pairs are kind of deep in the inside, these are way on the outside, and these are kind of in the middle. Okay? Because of the sprays making that shape, that construct. We see that tens are always here, we see that hundreds are always here, and ones are always here, no matter what. Here's a million, here's a billion. They're always going to still be ones. Okay? Now, this is a geometry. And in science and math today, they teach that numbers, as in arithmetic, cannot explain geometry. And I discovered they were wrong. I discovered that numbers are geometry. Numbers are not modeling something, they are the model themselves. It's a real big discovery. It means that 5 billion people would flunk math. Okay? The only problem is if these 2 points are perfect mirrors, there's an axis down the center, everything's a mirroring right and left. It's called bilateral symmetry. Then what do we do with the 1 and 8, since they're not mirrors? Or the 2 and 7, since they're not mirrors? Or the 4 and 5, since they're not mirrors? Okay? Well, do we throw out the whole system? Do we say that we finally found something that was incorrect in my discovery? That mathematically it's obsolete already? We challenge it to the maximum. Any error, any mistake anywhere in it, any incongruity, we rip and tear this thing apart. And we find out where that error and what that is, and if it's really wrong. So the only way I can do that is I go ahead and I say, well, where's our symmetry that I've been talking about? Where's our parity? Where's our mirroring? Where's our wings? See how the right side over here is a perfect mirror? They're like 2 wings on a bird flying. Where is it? So I take our multiples of 1 from the standard multiplication table. I reduce them to single digit, which I call the kids' multiplication table, using horizontal math. And I look at the symmetry. Well, multiples of 1 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Well, multiples of 8 is 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 9. I look at multiples of 2. 2, 4, 6, 8, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. Multiples of 7 are perfect mirror. 7, 5, 3, 1, 8, 6, 4, 2, 9. I look at multiples of 5 and 4. 4, 8, 3, 7, 2, 6, 1, 5, 9, which is the total reverse of 5. 5, 1, 6, 2. Everything's a mirror. 3 is 3, 6, 9, 3, 6, 9. 6 is 6, 3, 9, 6, 9. But 9, it's self-similar. It's always 9, 9, 9, 9. So let's see if that's true. So sure enough, I go multiples of 1 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That means 8's the last number before 9. I better have an 8 over here being a mirror of that 8. I better have a 7 after it. But 2 8's is 16. I'm writing them for your benefit, which is 7. 3 8's is 24. There it is again, which is a 6. 32, 5, 44. And of course I got 3, 2, 1, 9 after it, because once I got 3 numbers, I got a stereoscopic projection. I know all the remaining numbers are going to be in the same sequence. Perfect mirrors. The real clincher is when I do it with 2. 2, 4, 6, 8, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. Okay? Which is 7, 5, 3, 1, 8, 6, 4, 2, 9. 2 7s is 14, which is 5. 21, 3. 28, 10, 1. 7 times 5 is 35, 8, etc. 42, 6. Anyone follow that? Any statements, anybody?
The number,
9.
You like 9?
the number for
It's safe. You're playing it safe.
the number for
You
the
bring
universe.
assholes to the teacher.
The number for the universe, boys and girls, is 9.
Say it again.
The number for the universe in Sesame Street is 9.
In Sesame Street, you said no to the
You know, I
I never saw Sesame
Oh,
Street.
well, they always had a number of the day. It's the number for the universe.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
The number for the universe is 9. Exactly right. In fact, the saying is that the universe is created after 9 conditions. That's in the Sarata Hayakal. It's called the Suri of the Temple. It's a Baha'i scripture that's very old. So the universe has been created after 9 conditions. What's a condition? We're going to find out what a condition is. Each number has its own condition. There's never any redundancy. Okay?
What about primes?
Judy says, what about primes? Right? I think that's a little bit more harder than for us to go into at this moment. But it totally encompasses all primes and how they work. But I have bad news. The definition for a prime is not a true prime.
Would it work in your system?
This system is what creates primes.
But have you experimented with primes?
I have spent very little time on it. I went ahead and with primes, I kind of realized pretty fast that the definitions, we have to have conventional definitions for things so we all can agree in different countries on what we're working on. And I immediately realized, as soon as I looked at primes, that their definition of primes was false. There's a lot more to primes than they were understanding. So what I do is I prefer to tie this in with primes. So if we wanted to just do a whole session on primes, not a session even, I would call it a brainstorming together to see about how to present primes, then we'd have to do it. But I could never do primes alone. I can't do any conventional type of math alone. I would have to take both of your, since you're both math teachers, participation together, working with me and sharing. Because I haven't learned the nomenclature of existing math. And one other thing is I need everything on a personal level. So when I study and learn the textbooks and stuff, if I don't have a friend there for when I have a question, I just kind of get burnt out on it real fast. And, okay. Everyone? So where I was just a second ago was I was going to show that numbers have a fundamental quality. Okay? Fancy languages, it's a fundamental property characteristic of number. What's a fundamental quality? It's that there's no redundancy, meaning no duplication of any quality of a number, and there's nothing omitted, nothing left out. It's real important. It has to do with spirit again. Nothing, that this energy is complete. Okay? So let's look at that. Everyone's going to have to kind of lean over. Right here on the floor, I have the multiplication series. Okay? And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Does everybody see it? Okay. Now, on the right over there, multiples of 1 is the mirrors of multiples of 8. Now, we have a thing that I'm teaching which is called the 3 family number groups of numbers. I might add that my end goal is that today I have that I hope you don't drop out and pass out by the time we're done. Because my end goal is to teach you what an Etheron spiral is. And nobody knows this stuff but me. And so it's kind of my responsibility to cover this today because in all my other talks I have not been able to address this. Because it's just too complicated.
First, can we learn how to see it?
Yeah.
So is this because we're pentadactyl, we're on the 10 system, and that's why the 9 times table works on our own hand?
Say that, you gotta say it loud, Jesus. Say it real loud.
Does that have anything to do with because we're pentadactyl, so we've got 5 appendages on each side of us?
Pentadactyl.
Okay. And the 9 times table, when you teach children, is always with them.
Right.
9 times 2 and 9
Right.
is 18.
Uh-huh.
The whole thing with 9s. They carry it always with. Does that have anything to do with being human and being a creation and having the 9s with us?
The only problem is we don't have 10 fingers. Okay?
Oh.
The reason we don't is because my left hand, I hope I don't make a mess by getting it all over me. Okay, that's my left. And that's my right.
I can relate.
What does it say about palmistry?
Palmistry?
So you can tell a lot about people by their thumbs.
By the thumb? I love patterns, scrolls, fingerprints, stuff like that. You know, I love how this all connects, because it does connect all that. The reason you don't have 10 fingers is because it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that thumb would not be there. It would be over here. And it would be 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Because these thumbs are opposals, they're mirrors. You have an axis. This is your axis. You have bilateral symmetry, where the half is a mirror of the right. You know, in the science museums, if you stand in front of the mirror, it looks like your whole person, even half of you isn't there though. Okay. So what I showed already was that by halving was powers of 10. Because the base 10 system, the decimal system, does not have 10 numbers. How many numbers do we have? We have 9. That's because 0 is not a number. It's an absence. Okay? It is the hole in the vortex. Okay? And we'll be seeing about that shortly. So, thus, any base system, the base 10, is always one number less than the number of that base. Thus, the base 10 is modular 9. That's an accepted premise in all mathematics. Okay? But what I'm teaching about is 3 colors. I'm teaching about blue. I'm teaching about pink. I'm teaching about green. These are called family number groups. Okay? A family number group, there are 3 of them, is always separated by the number 3. Or 6. See the 3 or 6 here? Separating everything. And the 9 too. Everyone see that? The pink is all the same family number group. They're all the same color. 1 plus 3 is 4. 4 plus 3 is 7. And 7 plus 3 is 10 is 1. Okay, so you're back to 1 again. You're going to have 13, 16. It's just going to keep on repeating over and over again. What's important is where these family number groups are occurring. It's like a Mazda, it's like a rotary car engine. You have a question?
Well, I just kind of noticed something here. I'm an astrologer, so I got other things that each of the numbers signify, but I was seeing just in the Christian anthology that 3 is like the Holy Trinity, and like the Father, Son, Holy Ghost, and the 6 is like the 666, like the Earth matrix. One spirit, one's Earth, and the 9, I guess, is kind of like the bridge in between them with the Sagittarius.
So I'm learning from you. I've never studied all these things. It's interesting.
Well,
the connections are real.
It's number for man. 6.
Yeah, and the 3 is like the
Man doing a 666 is trying to be God, which is not.
Which is the chemical formula for petroleum. The subscript.
Also the symbol for Saturn.
Okay,
It's
so
also
sorry.
the computer. So.
Exxon's going to get you. The Valdez is looking for you.
That's interesting.
Yeah. That's what we were talking about yesterday.
Hmm?
That's what we were talking about yesterday. Remember?
Was the...
The 6 and the 9, they're sort of...
How they all connect and relate?
Well, they're connected to 3, 6, and 9.
They connect through the invisible 9. Yeah. I'm going to really drill you guys on 3, 6s, and 9s in a little bit for your information. We're going to really be put to work. Okay. So 3 is a mirror of 6. So instead of adding 1 plus 3 is 4, 4 plus 3 is 7, we're going to do it backwards. We're going to go 1 plus 6, but it's going to equal a 7. 7 plus 6 is 13, which is 4. And 4 plus 6 is 10, which is 1. If I can go forwards with 3s, I can go backwards with 6s.
Do that again.
Yeah.
Okay. 1 plus 6 is 7. 7 plus 6 is 13, which is 4. And 4 plus 6 is 10, which is 1. Okay. So 3 is one way, and 6 is the reverse way. Okay? Let's do blues. 2 plus 3 is 5. 5 plus 3 is 8. 8 plus 3 is 11, which equals 2. Okay, we can go backwards. 2 plus 6 is 8, 8 plus 6 is 5, and 5 plus 6 is 11, which is 2. So, I don't know how to say it right, but somehow these are like the furthest most extremes is how I tend to think of it.
Because they all go somewhere. The pink one's all...
She's having an aha over here.
Well, I'm just so happy because I know this was just the whole time and I just never figure it out. I'm Baha'i too.
Oh, you're right. Good.
all threes. And the blue one's all...
You can use our favorite new Baha'i saying. It's not aloha,
Okay,
it's
7,
aloha apa.
4,
All right.
and then the blue.
Oh, right. They oscillate between 3
Right,
and 6.
they're
That's right. If you take a 1
oscillating
and a
back
2, you get a 3. If you take a 2 and a 4, you get a 6.
Oh,
So they
two.
oscillate between 3 and 6 when you combine an adjacent blue and a pink, right?
He said it, I didn't. They oscillate. He used the big oscillate word.
That's the power
Yeah.
point. That's the
When you
power.
had adjacent 1 plus 2 is 3, 2 plus 4 is 6.
They are oscillating.
4 plus 8 is 3. Yeah.
They are oscillating back and forth. They're heavy duty.
Right.
Okay.
You don't ever get a 9, do you?
You never see the 9. It's always invisible. That's right. That's the power of this map, because we don't have it, but it'll show it by the angle and the ratio, the displacement. This energy here is displacing everything. See how the green here matches the green here? Okay. But let's not go that far
It's
ahead.
like displacement, like color. It's the way color works, right?
It totally polarizes color. This is the color wheel. Right, and the music
Well,
scale.
I don't know what I mean, but I know that I've heard it somewhere where, it's like whatever color you're wearing, it's actually the absence of that color is what you're
Right,
seeing.
right.
Is that what it is all about? Kind of like that? Like black isn't really black. Black is all the colors.
Black, yeah. Black is the total.
White or white is the white,
black
right?
and white is, yeah.
Right. Black
But
is
the white
absence.
color
Zero.
is...
But white, they always told me, you can't have white. White can't be.
reflective.
Because if you
Yeah,
take the
but it's all
primary
colors.
colors,
It's
pigment
white.
and spin them,
If you do it with light, then you get all the colors, but then if you do it with pigment, it's the exact opposite. See, black and white are really the same thing.
Or they're distinguished by their polarity, actually.
Someone finally explained it to
It's
me.
seeing, it's becoming.
I'm an artist.
Right? That's some pretty art to share with you. I love artists. The Baha'i writings, they say artists have the greatest encompassment over mankind, not the higher learning Occident, but rather the artists will be the ones who will educate mankind through beauty. Saying is art is the best, beauty is the best teacher, and I believe that. Okay. We were brought by Charlie to the oscillation of 3 and 6, and to the power point. There's no escaping now. So we'll do it. 3 doubled is 6. 6 doubled is 12, which is 3. 12 doubled is 24, which is 6. 24 doubled is 48, which is 12, which is 3. Constantly oscillating. Never ends. Okay? Only one or the other. That's called movement back and forth. This duality is called what? The yin and yang. Correct? Okay. You have the yin and yang on your shirt there. All right. Do you want to say something, John?
Continue it. I know you are.
So what you've done, when you have symmetry, when you drop the top off, the edges off, you
What
do have
edges?
symmetry. The top.
What, the 9?
Oh, that's still...
No.
What top?
Okay, you see the point of symmetry is the 9 and down to the middle.
This is the axis.
Yeah, the
Well,
axis.
wait. The axis, there is an invisible line,
Right.
axis.
And there's your symmetry.
It's an invisible spindle. Yeah. Okay.
Because you're still moving off of. That's incredible. That's.
Okay.
I'm seeing something, but I'm not sure I understand what it is. It's like you've got the whole way that things are unfolded.
Yeah.
And the 9 times 3 and 27, which is 9.
Right. Which is, it all
That
respects
that
the
stays.
axis.
Yeah, that's
It is. It is the perfect diagram of the way
Petrified.
things are.
All right. Judy. I'm going to be mean to you. No, you can say that.
I'm used to it.
How many parts are there in the yin and yang?
One part.
One part. He's trying to play safe or something like that.
That's a good answer.
Okay. And how did it become one then? I'll take that answer. We'll go along that theme. I'll learn something with all of us. Okay, so we have this perimeter. It's called the world boundary condition. Is that what you mean by one? It's a whole, it's a unit. In other words, one is unity.
It's neither one or the other. It's the becoming and it's the ebb and the flow. It's the way, the nature of.
But you gotta be real detail orientated. You gotta tear it into its rudiments, right? You have to break it into its parameters. So I agree with you. It is the ebb and the flow, the alpha and omega, the beginning and end. Okay, which is right there. It's a Mobius strip. It's infinity. Okay. But the Mobius strip is the 124875 right here. Okay. I could have been doing a demonstration for everybody, show everyone what a Mobius is, but we're not going to try and do that.
When I read the Tao of Physics, this is
Judy?
why I read that.
Judy, this is not the Mobius strip. The 3 and 6 is not the Mobius strip.
No, that's not what I meant. I was doing a configuration thing.
Okay. This
But
is
there are
not,
three
the
parts
yin and yang
because-
is not the Mobius strip.
I was playing with you.
Oh.
It is a three-part thing.
It is a 3-part thing?
Yes.
Oh, because it says it. Oh, that's
It is the energy, the synergy is the energy, which is the S curve.
The S curve is the number 9. It is your third part.
Oh, I never noticed that.
Yeah. It's the world boundary condition. And what it does is that when you learn about these world boundary conditions, and you have control over superconductivity, and you have a control over flight through the universe, everything. And this is what we're learning about right now. So what is happening is that the 3 parts of the yin and yang, you only see the yin and yang oscillating back and forth. But the yin and yang does not connect the pyramid on the base. You have the 9 in the center, okay, which is the control. Okay, family number groups is where we were yesterday. Okay, so just because we better consolidate everything we've done and be thorough. Here's a multiplication table, 1 through 9. Judy, you're going to get to be the assistant.
Is this Vanna White kind of thing?
Is this a what?
Vanna White kind of thing?
What's
Vanna?
Precisely.
Is this the Wheel of Fortune?
Who's Big Bird?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't watch TV. It's my secrets revealed. Yeah. And zero TV. Okay, so what we're going to do is we know 1 and 8 are perfect mirrors. Remember the mirror of the number of the multiplication series, which is beginning with 1. The last number before 9 is going to be what its mirror is. It's polar. So we're going to take 8. No, not 8. We're going to take 1, but we're going to know that 8 is going to be the mirror. So let's just flip them all. Just flip them all right over. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 9. So what we have is we have the opposite of 1s is multiplications of 8. Yet the family number groups are always separated by thirds. 1, 2, 3 is the next blue one. 1, 2, 3 is the next blue one after that one. They're always separated by thirds. This is a quality of numbers, a fundamental physical property characteristic of numbers.
And the colors went to their complement, didn't they? You flipped them, didn't they?
Yeah, must have. Exactly right, Charlie. But it's a duality complement, Charlie, because there's 2 separate dimensions. The yellow is a different dimension, but the red and blue are the same
The
dimension.
yellow stays yellow, right, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Did the yellow?
It did stay yellow.
Yeah. But the 8 was a red on the other.
They're all 333.
Always 333.
Right.
Oh,
Right.
Right.
Okay. So now let's do multiples of 2. Would you put a 2 where the 8 is and then put a 4? So you're just going to go 2, 4, 6, 8, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. Yeah. Charlie's a couple leagues ahead of us right now because what he's modeling is dimension.
And why are you putting the 2 there?
Because I just want, instead of multiples of 1, now I want to do multiples of 2. I just want to
So
do
you're starting over again.
starting over again.
So
you're
we
gonna-
start,
Just to prove
Two.
the point that threes are still in the
and
same
then you're going to
spot.
put 4 next, right here.
Do you want me to do
Yeah,
that?
2, 4.
Yeah.
Moving
2,
too
4
fast for
next,
you.
and then 8 comes next.
Charlie will call it for you. Go ahead. Charlie, tell us
Okay,
next.
2, 4. Then 8 comes next.
Yeah.
Judy, you can be Charlie's assistant.
8.
You've got it.
And then they've got
2, 4, 6, 8.
Oh, we're not doubling. We're multiple of the 2. Okay.
You-
4, 6, 8.
I love to see someone else do my same mistake that I always do because I'm so deep into it.
Well,
So 10 would be 1.
yeah, 10 would be 1. And
12 would be 3. And
Okay.
14.
Family number groups are still the same. Now remember, I said there's no redundancy and nothing's omitted. But your building blocks are those 3 family number groups. You can't invent another number group.
Right. So
Okay.
so we're starting with
A number cannot be created or destroyed. Just as we used to say in Einstein's law, that the energy, what's the saying? Matter can either be created or destroyed. It turns out the same thing for numbers too. There's no new numbers creatable. It's really heavy duty because,
It's not very heavy duty.
Mhm.
So no matter what you do, it's not.
No, that is a real information compression condensation, but you're absolutely right.
So no matter where you go, there you are.
And I never saw that movie too, but I think I missed something.
I don't know.
that was the road warrior. No, what's that? Thunderdome. That was one.
No, wasn't that
But it's saying lived on
that was an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie.
You know,
It was Mel Gibson and Thunderdome.
let's argue about it. Comparative religion, I mean, there you are.
And I never saw that movie too, but I think I missed something.
I don't know.
That was the road warrior. No, what's that? Thunderdome. That was one.
No, wasn't that
But it's saying lived on
that was an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie.
You know,
It was Mel Gibson and Thunderdome.
let's argue about it. Comparative religion, I mean, basically it's the creeds, the tribes, the power-threes.
Yeah.
What's that?
The tribe, the power-threes.
The tribe?
The tribe, T-R-I.
She could say triune, she could say Trinity, she could say...
Yeah.
Well, okay. But what we're looking at is a polar opposite, and a polar complement always equals 9. See how 8 and 1 make 9, 7 and 2 make 9? Okay, this is just the polar property we're learning. Okay? And I always learn is that they're separated by 3. So let's go again now. We know that the polar opposite of 2 is 7. So because 7 is the last number before 9. So let's turn the cards over.
Complement of 2 is 7.
Oh, no, look at this.
7, 6, 5, 3, 1, 8,
So those are mirrors
6,
of each other.
4, 2,
Right.
9.
They're opposite each other on the minute, see.
Yeah.
Oh, look, Charlie, they're pink. I did make them a different color. They probably should have... it's because I wanted to distinguish between 3 and 6. That there's a positive and a negative 3 and 6. It gets pretty more confusing. I better not try and say it verbally.
So is that correct that you did change that for your...
It's correct that there's a negative and positive. God knows I can't even know.
So there'll all be 6 now. 6, 6, 6.
I just know how it works. I can't say on those cards how it's correct. I only know it in the complicated. It's very hard for me to do it in a simple fashion. The complicated, which you're about to go to, I can tell you what's correct. The easy stuff is hard for me because it's too easy and the universe is more complex.
This complement is always 6, 6, 6.
I wouldn't call it a compliment, but it's a. But it,
6, 6, 6. They're now 6, 6, 6.
What's the other side of 3? Is that a 3 on there?
Add these up and then add those 2 numerals.
Wait, well, what's on the other side of this 3 again? Okay, so that's better.
No, it's always, essentially what it is I'm not sure what you mean. Everything is still in thirds, but what happens is the 6 occurs automatically.
What were you saying?
Just you add 7, 5, and 3.
That's 6. Well, 15 is 6, and then 1 and 8 is 9, so 15, that's 6. And 6, 9, that's 6. Oh, so we take triplets, and they add up
Like
to
the last
6.
time, everything was
See?
always 3, 3, 3.
Right,
My
when you
3.
flipped it over, where? Well, really?
Now there's always going to be a
No, they
3, a
won't.
6, and a 9, and 8. Which ones are
No,
you adding
but she's
together?
saying that triplet right there adds up to 6.
Oh,
And
That
that's
triplet adds
oh
up to 6.
sure.
And
She's
when
working
it's
on,
turned over, it was adding up to
3,
3.
3, 3 every time.
it's not even in the curriculum. She's working in things that are apparent, that have universal truths and axioms, and she's working, she's now,
Patterns within patterns.
she's working on aspects and facets of this stuff
So that's the
that I've
polarity.
never even gotten
Yeah.
to.
Well, I teach little kids, and little kids think that way. They would see that.
Especially this young generation.
The little kids really.
And it all has to mean, I haven't even gotten to that, and it helps to explain this.
It helps that they don't have other things, cluttering and obscuring their
That's why we need you to be the new example for teaching math next generation. Because the way you learn math is the way you learn like the structure of reality in a lot of ways. I mean, you learn just like the calendar systems that we have. The calendar being off affects every other part of our civilization. So just like our the math.
Okay, so we saw family number groups are always the same in the different groups. Let's see. I don't know which board to go to next. We covered family number groups. We saw the multiplication that numbers actually did have a mirroring in the geometry. We were looking at the boundary conditions. You said 1 on the yin and yang. So let's see what we can do with what we've learned so far. So we know the quality of every number, so we know the quality of this number is a mirror of that number quality. We know this quality is a mirror of that. So we got 1 quality, 2 qualities, 3 qualities, 4 qualities, 5 qualities, 6 qualities, right? Well, by the fact of that they're different from one another. Like this number, there's no other number that goes up 1, 2, 3, 4. It's unique.
Oh, so
In multiples of 1. Multiples of 1 is unique.
So you're saying that's a clustering of a group, a family group.
Yeah, well, that whole thing is a clustering of a family group, right? It gives a unique quality.
Right.
Exactly right.
And then that has a different group to it.
Exactly right.
That's why it is the number 2, right?
Right.
That's why it
Exactly.
has that
Right.
number.
It's
That's why
essentially
you
the
look at
basis
you
for a
do.
dimensionality of sorts. It's like, yeah.
I like that. When Charlie clicks on something, it's because he's dimensionalized it. I mean, it's like, it's really good. So 2 has a quality, and 4 has a quality, and 8 has a quality. It's really a trick that when you're at the lowest bottom, you go to the top is where you go next. Because this is a coil. Our decimal system is a coil. And this is the field, and this is the secret of electromagnetism. Because that's why I'm getting more energy. And this is going to replace all our petroleum products, everything. This is the legend for it. So, 7's a quality, and 5's a quality. Okay? 3 and 6, the quality was that they always oscillate back and forth. Of course, the multiples would be 3, 6, 9, 3, 6, 9, or 6, 3, 9, 6, 3, 9. It says it right here in multiples. And we have the 9. 9 never changes. It's a quality because 0 times anything is always nothing. It's the absent of quality, and 9 is complete quality. It's whole. And there it is. So it's always 9. And what's 2 9s is 18, 27, 36, 45, 54, 63, 72, 81. It always equals itself 9. It's the never-changing number 9. Perfect. Complete.
So it's compressible, so that's why it'll work in the future. Like computers.
I'm going to just let your
Because the big
statements
numbers
down.
that are non-compressible are what they're looking for. That's not what they really should be looking for.
There is no such thing as a non-repeating endless decimal. That's why I solved pi, which
That's
we're not going to
why
try and
is
touch.
right.
But I found the answer to pi. I know what it is, and it's a whole number. But we're not going to touch that this morning. Okay. You can keep on thinking. I just want to say a few more cute things about 9. Okay. Let's first look at a 6. A 6 is a hexagon, 6-sided. A triangle is the 3. But as we know, in reality, the triangle doesn't connect except at the vertex, the point. And the 9, this is very important, and it's not by accident, is a perfect diamond. See how this makes a diamond? Should have been a little bit better with it more perfect. But it is the perfect diamond.
So they would call the hell like the
We'll see.
When you are you like connected with other people? Like free energy design?
Is the camera on? I guess everybody does give their permission. I guess this is a release. You give your permission to be. This is a verbal, written in video. In what's video map? Written in acetate. That you don't mind having
You don't raise your hands or something.
your being duplicated and disseminated and circulated to help educate and teach people on this topic. So thank you very much for allowing and educating people and sharing your insights with the world. Okay. Charlie has a question, but before Charlie does it, I want to finish this one point all over again. Okay? The number 9 never changes. There's not another number that doesn't change. Okay? Only number 9 can do that. 0 is nothing. 0 times anything is nothing. And by the way, 0 is not a member of a multiplication series. That's why after 9 is not a 0. The 0's the vortex. And this is making a vortex. Okay? I'll come to that vortex after I answer Charlie's question. So multiples of 2, there's not another thing that does it like it. You can't. And if you had if you had a base 12, you would still be using the 1 and the 2 and 3 again, because it's after 9. And so you would be duplicating, at least as a phantom, as a mirror, the 8, 7, and 6. In other words, you would be actually doing a mirror imaging, like in Kirlian photography, of the leaves, right there. Okay, you know, familiar with Kirlian photography? You have an appendage, cut off the finger, still shows put it on photographic motion in your hand. You still see that finger. It's a phantom, a ghosting image. Do you remember that?
Kirlian photography?
Yeah, it's called Kirlian photography.
It's still there?
Oh, you didn't know that?
No, I didn't know it was still there.
It's a trip.
How's that work?
It's so well known now.
Let me have the secret.
What happened is your bioelectric field doesn't know it was cut off. Okay, so your bioelectric field, everything else is still projecting the energy out and around it, and you can have a person missing a whole finger, put his hand on photographic motion, and he's got all his fingers. Charlie, you've seen that?
Well, not only that, but people still feel
Yeah, my grandfather felt his
their
finger.
limbs are still there, even when they've been amputated, and the aura is still there. So
But still, that's subjective by them. In this case, I'm saying it's film emulsion, so we can actually see it. You've seen it.
Also see it. Yeah, I've seen it in photographs.
Exactly.
And psychic discoveries behind it.
There's someone here that does that.
It was all done in Russia. Huh? Started.
Someone here that does that.
Yeah, Pat Howard. Pat Howard does
It's
that.
a
Yeah,
lady?
she lives up on Olinda Road.
Yeah.
Yeah, she did that on me, actually.
Except you got all your fingers.
Yeah, but she's able to read those
Yeah,
for
she
health
can tell you what's
purposes.
wrong with you.
And
help
she's
you.
pretty good at it, too. Yeah. And then she does the color ones. She does the black and white ones, and then she does the color ones. It's pretty neat.
So what about increasing the bioelectric frequency with a missing finger? Is it being able to make a finger grow back? Is that
We're getting to that.
okay?
Well, they can do that at certain stages of, children. If a child loses his or her finger, from like about the first digit on, I heard, it will grow back.
In fact, I have a board right there showing the fingers. So you're right. So numbers themselves, by the very existence of a 1, it creates a phantom of the 8. So there is not endless as to the points we were reading, such as that, how many base systems are there? Okay. We say, it says, somewhere, it says, how many counting base systems are there? There's only 1. Pretty hardcore medicine to swallow. There's only 1 base counting system. Okay. Remind me. I want to go to polarity, and I want to go to the vortex. 2 things, please. Okay. Charlie?
I'm unclear as to how you're defining each of those numbers on the corners there. It represents a group, a family of numbers, right? Like 1 represents...
The family number group, the first one of 147, represents totally different planes of spatial orientation or points. This one's at the top. You'll never have 2 family number groups occupying both tops. Only 1. There's one's at the bottom, and the other one's at the middle, and they are as far triangulated away from
that's
one
a number group right there. I'm talking
One-
about, what about 1 itself? Is that a number group by itself?
No, it can't
Okay,
be.
so 147 is the group you're referring to.
Nothing's less than groups of 3s.
Okay. So, and how is that made into a number group? Again, just review for me.
How it's really made into a number group is that these emanations are shooting, and this is what you're asking, but this is the correct answer. There's 3 emanations shooting out at the same time. And as they're shooting out dimensionally, Charlie, one's going right here, one's going right here, and one's right here. And as these 3 are shooting out, 3 points ahead of them, okay, is the last one that went out before them. So there's space, next emanation. So they don't just shoot out, and then there's another one, and then another one.
In the group, you add 3 each time.
Say it again?
To get...
Everything's controlled by 3.
Oh, so you add 3 to 1 to get 4, and then you add 3 more to get 7.
Right.
And then you add 3 more and you get 1 again. So those are a group in themselves, right? With differences of 3.
I admire you, Charlie, for learning this, because your math you've learned so much. The fact you can deal with such easy, basic things really is a big accomplishment, because it's much harder for you than it is for normal people.
Okay. But by themselves, they're just parts of a group. So
That's
they're
right.
Closed. But
still unique.
but the blues and the pinks are closed groupings.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Definitely
Yeah.
close.
Yeah.
Creation's a closed creation. That's why it's called a bounded infinity. It's an infinity of duration, not direction. The duration is the spin continuum. It's infinity of motions, but it is not infinitely going out into space, because it's warping and being curved by the intersections of these emanations. It causes it to warp. It's like a little kicker, and it causes it to spin. And as they spin, ever hit a leaf on the lawn, kicks up in the air and comes closer to you than where it began from, instead of going away where you wanted it to? Okay, that's what these things are doing. They're being warped. Okay? And this is relativity here. Again, this is Einstein's c², and it has an axis. It's a self-inclusive relativity. It's so extremely relative that it's relative to its convergence point, which is right here. Everything has an axis. And this is a fixed constant. This is an absolute. The number 9 represents truth, perfection, consciousness. It's called a fixed constant. There's 2 schools of thoughts in the world. There's one that there are not fixed constants, and the other one is that there are fixed constants. Mine is that there are fixed constants. These are called axioms, theorems. They're called divine virtues, spiritual principles. They can be applied just as fast. You can go from spiritual to physics, and physics back to spiritual. It can be spiritual, it can be love, faith, trust. In physics, it can be the axis, the number 9. Why a gyroscope always stands up on its own when it spins.
So by saying there's no fixed constants, basically sounds like atheism or theism is
Exactly.
there's constants, like entropy, there's no order in the universe, versus homostasis, everything has a divine order.
Exactly right. I'm glad you said it. That was a good point. Charlie, you didn't ask your question, though.
Yeah,
Is that
I
it?
did. I'm clear as to what you're talking about now. I'm just doing some other things.
Okay. The number 1, if it's positive, the number 2 is going to be negative, the number 4 is going to be positive, the number 8 is going to be negative, the number 7 is going to be positive, the number 5 is going to be negative, excuse me, and the number 1 is positive. So it's going back and forth, back and forth. Positive, negative. There's your binary flip-flop. Positive, negative, okay? Okay, polarity. Because there's only 6 numbers in our physical world of creation, 1, 2, 4, 8, 7, 5, okay, which is a fact. Okay, in other words, in the third, with matter, there's only 6 numbers to work with. Okay? You don't have to worry about there being an odd number like that. When they try and do a positive, negative, and when you get to 9, you're at a positive, and then you go back to 1, it's a negative, but you start with a positive, it doesn't work. Because there's not an odd system. The physical world of mass always has symmetry, always has parity, because it's an even amount. 6 is an even amount of number. Things are always done in pairs. Okay. So thus, but it's complicated. This is where quantum comes in. First of all, the center of the circle, and I'm just teaching you guys how to be prepared to make this into the next chart, and there's another chart right here. And there's many charts over here. Okay, so this is called the legend. This is God's schematic. It's the blueprint. Once you learn the math in this, then you start doing calculating and functions, and essentially you start calculating this stuff. Let you see where you're going to. Okay, you start going into this kind of stuff. Okay, so you start going into more advanced physics. It's called cosmology of the universe. Okay. So if you have a circle, this is the center. But look at this, the center's way off down here. Remember, this is explaining things. Okay? The reason it's off is because there's more to it. Because if we had a positive one, we know we must also have a negative one. Okay, so there's another one, not seen here, that's also negative. There's another 2 that's also positive, that's totally reverse of all of this. So instead of 9, I now need 18 to represent this system. Does everyone follow me? I have 6, 1, 2, 4, 8, 7, 5, so I need another 6, which is 12, to represent 1, 2, 4, 8, 7, 5. I'm just saying this, I think it'll be lost, but... And that gives me 12, and there's nothing less than packets of 9. So if I still had 1 9, now I got 2 9s. Okay, and there's 6 and 6 is 12. Okay, where's my other group of 6 to make 18? Okay, it happens to be this 3, 9, 6. I've said that in the physical world there's this duality. Okay, in the higher world there's also a duality, but the duality is to try and make this third dimensional reality a mirror or a reflection of this greater world. Yet all the time while we're trying to be a hologram of this greater world, we're at the same time created by it. So we are essentially tied to it. We are binded with it. And we are actually signs or proofs of its existence. And what happens is that the higher linear emanation of 9 becomes the third invisible force that does not allow anything else to be greater than it. Thus we can mirror God, but we'll never be greater than God. So what happens when 9 is a positive, 3 and 6 are both negative. Okay?
Okay, I see. So.
Okay, it is the control, 3 and 6 are the result. Now in reality, just like I have 2 hands here, but it looks like 1, I really have 6 here. I don't really have 3 of the 3, 9, 6. I really have 6. Okay? And I'll show you how it works. We started with the negative 3. Here's our binary, flip-flop back and forth. We go negative, positive, negative. Our next positive is not going to be 9. We already got a positive 9. Our next positive is going to be the invisible 6 that you can't see behind it, that it's laid over. And that's going to be your positive. Okay? There's an invisible 9 under there. That's going to be your negative. okay? And there's an invisible 3 over here, and that's going to be your positive. Whenever you end on a number, there's a second one hidden by it. You then give it the reverse polarity and go in the opposite direction. It's one of the principles of this math. Everyone follows me. Okay. So now you know there always must be a positive and negative to everything. We have that. And that it's not based on the fact of a duality of the positive and negative, but it's based on a trinary where you're going to have a positive and 2 negatives or a negative and 2 positives. Just as we had the 1, 4, 7, right here we're seeing, because in the third dimension it's a little bit more complicated. For the family number groups, the 1 and the 4 and the 7 are all positive at the same time. And in the 2, 8, 5s, they're all positive, they're all negative at the same time. How this coil works is these windings are wound in such a way to create that, put a number here, that one wire, there's 2 wires here, that one wire, all the positives are in one wire in a minute at the first stage. There's 3 stages. It's a firing stage. The first activation sequence of this coil, only the right wire is all positive, and that's your 1, 4, 7. The second activation stage is all your left wire is all positive. It's activated. And now the first family number group, 1, 4, 7, the other wire is totally off. And then they're both off. None of them are positive. They're all neither positive. And the middle space in there becomes all positives, the 3, 9, 6. I'm just preparing you this. This is like advanced education. This is for what you're about to see, not what you've seen so far, to relate it to. As long as we're finishing up on this symbol, okay, I said I go to vortex motion.
I missed something, so let me just ask you one more time, even though you mentioned it. 1, 4, and 7 are always positive?
No.
There's
1, 4, 7s are always
They
positive,
flip, they reverse the
or
polarity.
1, 4, 7s are always negative.
Right, I got you.
Okay.
So, but as soon as it creates a circuit,
It's a good
it
question.
goes to its opposite.
This coil here, the negative 1, 4, 7s are all on the wire that the positive 8, 2, 5s are on. You don't have, and the positive 8, 2, 5s and the positive 1, 4, 7s all have the negative 8, 2, 5s. They're so separated from one another that's why only one wire is on at the other time. Because if both wires had the same family number groups on at the same time, then this coil wouldn't work. It'd have resistance. Okay? So thus, when the first wire is on, it's all just positive 1, 4, 7s. And on that wire, there's only negative 8, 2, 5s. When the second wire is on, it's just all positive 8, 2, 5s. And the negative 1, 4, 7s aren't on.
It would help maybe if you could draw a picture of the wires that you're pointing to on that so that we can understand.
There are 2 wires,
the
aren't there? Aren't there a total of just 2 different wires? And the windings?
That's right.
So there's a red wire, so to speak, and a blue wire, right?
I'll show you on a toroid. I think it should be easier for you. The reason I went so far ahead and told you now is because I wanted you just to get a feel how it related to the symbol, that there's somehow eventually it's all connected to this, because I don't think that even when you see the other one that you're going to be able to understand exactly how they tie in together. So go ahead.
So you're saying the polarity switches when the current reverses its direction. Is that what you're saying?
The emanations are always going out.
But
When they hit one wire, the electricity goes in one way. When they hit the other wire, it goes in the opposite direction.
Right. But you have an alternating current source there, don't you?
But what makes it switch?
It's not switching. Let's wait till we see the
That's what you
torque.
wanted to ask us early on. You said, we're the switch. We have to figure out how to, or something, didn't you, at the beginning? Forget it. Didn't say that.
See, this is what happens when I try and explain something without a chart or a graph.
Because I'm not familiar with the way the
Activation
runs
sequence.
Through, you run electricity through the wires. You've got 2 wires.
And that's the most important
right?
part.
You've got 2 wires, right? Just like in a plug, you've got 2 wires. Right? This is what I'm understanding. And you've got the current flows in, and
That's not 2 wires. That's a single circuit.
that's
You
a part of
close the circuit.
Yeah, but it's
In my case, I have 2 totally separate circuits. So if I was comparing this to a plug, I would have 4 wires using your analogy.
Oh.
Okay. They do not ever.
Oh.
Yeah.
So the typical toroid would have 1 wire. Is that what you're saying? Is that right?
Typical. Yeah.
Oh. And you've used 2.
Which is a
And you're
biphilial
winding them like this.
with a space in between them,
Right.
because it's really 3 parts.
Right. But that's created through the 2, isn't it? Or that
Yeah.
exists.
It's hard to say what came first, the field or the.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
So by creating the energy with the 2, you get the third.
Oh, whatever. Already there.
So, oh, I see, it's underneath there, okay. Yes, I have to kind of make room for it.
That's better put. Yes, it is displacing. This is making this make room for it. And that brings us back to this, and that's why I'm glad on this. Because this whole thing, all these numbers have an angle and a ratio because they're making room for this field. It really brought me right to where I wanted to go. Because 1 plus 2 equals 3. It has an angle. I take any 2 numbers, add them together, and they're going to equal this flux field. 2 plus 4 equals 6. 4 plus 8 is 12, but 1 plus 2 is 3. 8 plus 7 is 15, but 1 plus 5 is 6. See how I'm always going 3, 6, 3, 6? 7 plus 5 is 12, which is 3, and 5 plus 1 is 6. It's always 3, 6, 3, 6. That's because it's being spread apart. It's making room. The 1, 2, 4, 8, 7, 5 is making room for the 3, 9, 6. But they're 2 separate systems, which we're going to be studying out. Okay? Okay. 5 billion people didn't discover this. Probably a lot more than that. So it's okay that this making room concept seems a little different. Okay? So I think I covered as much as I need to cover on this symbol for the moment. And for the multiplication table, probably can put that to that, see? And the yin and yang. I think what I'd like to do, though, is because I'm really, really making your brains work to the max. This would normally not even be explained, but I just want you to understand something. I took a circle here and I put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, that's called a control. Okay, because as I could have done 2, 4, 6, 8, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. Okay, and that's a new control. Do you follow what I'm saying? So it's very important that I demonstrate to you that whatever your control is, you're still going to get the same scientific end results. So sure enough, there's your 1, 2, 4, 8, 7, 5. It's very important that these doubling circuits never go away. They have to exist in anything you know. Fibonacci sequence, Pascal's triangle, pi, the golden means, everything we know in science. This has to be here. Biology, genetics, periodic table. It has to be there, along with this 3, 9, 6. So the next control is 4 and 5. You know, there's only 6 multiplication series as far as 1, 2, 4, 8, 7, 5 go, as far as the third dimension. So I show those here. Spatial orientation, triangles connected only at the vertex. Okay. Oh, we're going to go to the vortex. We haven't done that yet. Okay. So, but sure enough, 1, 2, 4, 8, 7, 5, 1, 2, 4, 8, 7, 5, 1, 2, 4, 8, 7, 5. We have it? Still there? Okay, it's very important to note that the 1, 2, 4, 8, 7, 5 is going like this. See how it's always moving in the same way, this treadmill? Because everything's based on thirds. And let me tell you, this is why we can't travel backwards in time, and this is why if things were based on a duality, the universe would stop flowing forward. And this is why we always eat, or we would die, because it's called a positive flow. It's a systemic system. Our system's alive. It's a systemic system. And the last thing you want to do is back up because it moves only one way. You just straight on forward. Go ahead.
You said we can't travel backwards in time, so all these rumors I've been hearing everywhere about time machines is not correct.
It's certain. I do not. If they're moving backwards in time, they're not moving in the created universe of this universe.
Oh no, I think we have parallel universes.
Then I wouldn't even call them universes. And I don't know what's going on. But as far as this physical material world,
Lots of time machine talk.
but I am very, very, very cautious when I hear about people going back in time. I'm more cautious about that than anything else. In fact, most of the time I turn it off when I hear it on the radio.
I'm going ahead with that.
Yes, you can go ahead in time. They do it all the time.
And when you go ahead, then how do you get back? You don't.
You can get back, but not to that moment. You can get back to a time that was not going as fast as you. So you can accelerate. It's like the Star Trek. You go forward in time, have more time to work on something because where you went forward, time is moving slower. Then come back in time where the time was moving. I said it vice versa. Did I say it right? Yeah, you go forwards in time where time is. I think I better not try that one. In reality, when the astronauts, let's use something concrete, when the astronauts went forward in time and went into space, they came back 3 seconds younger or whatever, or a point something younger. Because in space, you're farther away and mass is a part of time and mass affects other mass. Because of the positive emanations that come from the center of all mass, which are these emanations which we're modeling. So, on Earth, time is going faster than it is going out on in outer space, away from Earth. So the astronauts then, when they return, they're younger, and conceivably, we can actually perish, like in Planet of the Apes, before they ever return. And when they return, there can be totally different people here, and they're still alive. You can actually, and thus they could also go to another solar system, to a bigger planet like Jupiter, where time is actually faster towards its surface. Okay? So they can actually go there, time will, and they can actually come back much older when they return here. Time is a relevant ingredient to condensed matter physics. Condensed matter physics is based on your axis, your center of mass, the number 9. The farther, it all has to do with the closer you are to the center of the mass, the faster time goes. The farther away from the center of mass, the slower time goes. The only thing is, there's one more ingredient to that. Time is really moving the same everywhere, because the thing that's controlling it is that frame of reference from your distance. So while time is, it's the fact that they're changing the frame of references. Okay, that means that they're moving from one time to another. But in reality, the people on both locations, Earth and Jupiter, they still have a year. They still have the same amount of time to themselves. It's just that their rules and measures change because they're going to new frames of reference. Okay, now, for instance, I'll give you one example. Time for us right now is different than it was an hour, let's say when we started 2 hours ago. How is time different? Okay. We're expanding inside the universe. Time is really going slower than when we started 2 hours ago. An hour right now is really 5 hours now, compared to 2 hours ago would have been 1 hour. Because an hour ago, there was less space between our atoms. 2 hours ago, there was less. Our molecules were more densely packed, and we were more condensed. But because we're still expanding, all our atoms evenly, uniformly, like a surface film covering over the water, expanded as we moved away uniformly. So we don't see that time is changing for us, because the way that it's relating to everything around us, everything's uniformly changing at the speed of time at the same time. But in reality, as we're receding away, we're going through time frames where time moves differently. This all has to do with quantum mechanics based on the decimal system, because these numbers all become quantized very quickly. Okay, so, and the reason they become quantized is because the hole in the center is off-center. And so it has to be spin arrayed, and it has to explain the vortex and how things work to come back in the center. Okay, we won't struggle too hard on time, except that I was just going to show then that you can't, remember in the other chart, that everything was always moving this way. This way. And on this chart, going backwards, we can never, ever make a multiplication series. It won't work. In other words, the field, the flux field, keeps the electrical only able to move one way, not backwards as far as time goes. And that also applies to how anything moves through the universe or matter or living biological systems.
So how does that work with energy theory with your body? Like, Chinese medicine and that. I guess it's supposed to go like left to right. The chi is not the way it goes. Is that? Up the left side, around, and down the right side.
Your back and down the front.
See anything like that?
There's proper orientation. There's a proper orientation of the energy that David Little was saying. We in the modern times have reversed, and we've got to go in reverse order. I don't know about that.
The answer is just what Charlie said, and it deserves a lot of discussion. It's orientation, and we haven't gotten to that yet. And that's the whole subject.
It seems like what you're saying is that time moves one way, and you're talking. We were just talking. Alistair and I were talking about the fact that physicists are. What he was just saying, that physicists are messing with the idea and the phenomenon that you can reverse entropic entropy, which really is sort of the same thing as time zero moving forward. You can't undo spontaneously what is sort of decayed. Things decay spontaneously in time. And he was talking something like moving backwards in time, something like that.
Yeah, I don't agree with him in that regard. Right.
Yeah, I don't know anything. He was just saying.
We'll know it pretty well by the time we're done.
Well,
Alistair's very brilliant, but as far as there's many things that I'm very careful not to endorse, such as that.
well, he was talking about people who are doing work in that, not just him.
Right. I don't accept this.
Because of the fact that the numbers don't do that, you're saying the universe can't do that.
Because you cannot get rid of radiant emanation, disintegration. You cannot suddenly remolecularize something that is already demolecularized.
But that's an axiom of your.
It's just that simple.
What you're saying.
Right. Right.
And you've come to that conclusion because the numbers don't correspond. When you try to do it with the numbers, it doesn't work. Is that your reason?
That's right. Everything we see here is a proof or evidence that everything has to move forward.
So you're saying because of the way you're taking your model of the universe based on the way numbers work. And if the numbers don't obey that, then the universe can't.
Exactly. Exactly right.
Well, that's where spirit comes in, because it's the creative force. It's not a destructive force. It's creative, which is, again, self-evident.
Spirit means that everything works in a spiral staircase on a
The creative force. It's not a destructive force. It's creative, which is self-evident.
Spirit means that everything works in a spiral staircase on a physical world. That means it's like in spiritual qualities. That means that instead of it just being good or bad, black or white, there's actually three qualities. So what happens is that everything's moving in a logarithmic spiral. So it's not a duality. And that's why when we get stuck and we have to make a decision and go forward in life, we always have other options. We think this is going to destroy us or this is going to make or break us, but actually each thing leads to another quality. Compassion leads to mercy. Mercy leads to forgiveness. Forgiveness leads to, what would be the next one? It's different than just being a duality as we tend to try and think of it. Okay. the numbers 3 and 6 are oscillating. So 1, 2, 4, 8, 7, 5, we've already seen is 3, 6, 3, 6, 3, 6. Here we have 3, 9, 6, 6, 9, 3. Remember the invisible field? But sure enough, 3, 6, 3, 6, 3, 6. Again, a discrete number cannot be created or destroyed. We're all comfortable with that? Okay, last thing, before we take down this chart, is the vortex. Okay? Okay. So, remember we came down like this, came out, came around like this. We're coming in, coming down, coming out, coming in, around. Okay, what does this look like? These arrows are connecting here, and they're leaving there. Okay. I'm going to need my assistance again.
It's the hard one.
Okay. It is making an egg beater. Okay, we see this? It is a vortex. Now what does a vortex do? It takes matter and it demolecularizes it, whips it around, and brings it out now at the bottom. In at the top, out at the bottom. Did everybody see that?
Yeah.
Okay. And that's exactly, thank you very much. That's exactly what is going on here. It's taking in at the top, out at the bottom, in a vortex. Okay? In and out, comes around again, feeds itself to renew it. And that's how time moves. This is the expanding southern half of the universe. Let's look at it on another chart. Oh, this chart gets saved in 1 second. It's almost going to go. But it gets saved. Because I don't ever remember to make this point. It has to do with the vortex again. I'm glad you're going to see it. Here is the number 2. See how the number 2 is a perfect mirror of the number 5? Do we all agree with that? Okay. But they're inverted. One's upside down. This point right here is inverted. This is the inversion point. This is where everything gets flip-flopped. See how the number 2's over here and the number 5's over here? Okay. This is God's cosmic grinder. Okay? The cosmic grinder. Every black hole feeds a white hole. Okay? And the 2 and 5 are opposites. Now the ancients knew this. They knew the symbol, they knew everything. But they didn't share it with the generality of mankind. Or mankind just couldn't learn it. I don't know what the problem was. Okay? But they left us a clue anyway. Now a lot of people say, hey, this is artificial. What are you talking about the shape of the symbol having anything to do with the actual function of the shape? But you know doubling was how we were going that way. And you know halving was the other way. And it's not by accident they stuck the 5 all the way down over here to be a mirror of the 2. And that comes from them both connecting to the 1 where they connect. Not an accident.
Oh, and then the 8, the other third part there, the 2 small things filled in
overlap.
on the side.
Yeah.
This is where the swastika thing came in the 4 quarter of 4.
I would think so.
Say what you said again.
2 times 5? 2 times 5
Oh, the
is
thing.
4.
Would you repeat what you said?
Oh, I said, well, when you combine the 5 and the 2, they together form an 8 to both ends there are open.
Like this?
It's a digital. It's a
Yes,
digital.
digital.
It's a digital 8.
Oh, when you combine the symbols for it.
Right.
Oh, yeah,
symbols of
right.
5 and 2.
Oh, I see what you said. When you
It's a
overlap.
swastika, the spiral.
Oh, I didn't see that circuit right there. Yeah. I was thinking of when you get half, you get 0.5. Is that how they connect with it?
Everything's connected.
And then,
Yeah, that's who just said it.
but
There it is. Say it one more time.
Everything's connected.
Yeah.
But the whole secret of that information was kept very secret. I mean, when you go back and you look at bits,
Pretty
now
scary.
that I've seen things.
Wait a
that
minute, are you
I've
into
read-
conspiracy?
Yeah, but I've seen, you know what I mean? I've read things and seen little pieces of this, and it was a deep secret and a well-kept secret. But the swastika, I mean, their symbols came out, but they didn't understand the significance of. the eternal life of the swastika.
Well, there's two. There's the reverse swastika, which means,
Yeah.
there's two shapes.
Yeah.
It just looks backwards.
They've been found in every continent, I think. the symbol.
Well, we're dealing with mysticism, and actually, that's my favorite topic, is showing how it relates to archaeology and mystic symbols, and that's my favorite topic. But I'm about to saturate you guys with a whole bunch of that stuff anyway, so. So you asked for it by bringing up that stuff. But the point here is that they are reciprocals, they always make one, and it has a use. Everything we're seeing here has a use. And the
No, it's how bashes have done, or what I've done. I sent me 2 books. Right, I'll cancel what? Cancel. I sent me fucking 2.
And the use is this. Okay? The use is 1 times 1 is 1. 2 times 5 is 10, which equals 1. So I go away from 1, 1, 2, which is a 4, and backwards, 1, 2, which is a 7. And 4 times 7 is 28, which is 10, which is a 1. Do you follow that?
No.
Okay. I have to just see, it's weird because I'm going very long this way and very short
You're
this
going
way.
to adjacent nodes from the center.
Exactly, from the 1.
Okay, so-
I'm using the 1. I'm not on the 9 right now, I'm on the 1. We learned about polar relationships, which is by the 9. But now we're going to learn reciprocal relationships. The polar is different from the reciprocal. The reason I have the answer to everything is because I'm combining every principle that exists into one ball of yarn. So right now we're going to work not on the polar aspect, but we're going to work on the reciprocal. Reciprocals always equal their beginning point. Okay? 1's the beginning, so 2 and 5 is the next distance. And 2 times 5 is 10 equals 1. And so now I'm going to go 1, 2, which is 4, two lines away. Bear in mind that every one of these lines, the ratio of this line to this line to this line, is your golden, that's all your means you could ever, everything you want to know.
But you're starting with 2 and you're looking at 1 and 4 in relationship to...
No, I'm not going to do that yet. I'm only counting, I'm going to start with 1, I must end up on 1. And this must be a 1, 2, because if this is a 1, I want 1 times 1 is 1. Watch. I'm going to just do it.
Okay.
1 times 1 equals 1, because this is really 1 over 1.
Right.
Okay. So I go over here, and because I have 2 parts now, I don't have to multiply 2 times 2, and, well, 2 times 2 is 4, I've never done this before. 2 times 2 is 4, and 5 times 5
It's 7.
is 7, and 4 times 7 is 28, is 10 is 1. Yeah, it still worked anyway. Okay. It's okay, I just thought I like to do new things when I can find new things to do, because, okay. So 4 times 7, which is now 2 away from 1, 1, 2, 1, 2 equals 28, which is 10, which is 1. And then I go 1, 2, 3, I end up here this way. And I go backwards, 1, 2, 3 this way. So I go 8 times 8 is 64, is 10 is 1. Always equals 1. And I found that this shape always makes the demarcation line. It's called a shear. It's called a, it's real important for modeling electricity. But I won't go on to it further on the chart because you'll see it elsewhere. But since Charlie brought up one other thing, let's do it 2 now. 2 times 2 is 4. Okay, so I go this way. 1 times 4 is 4. Then I got to go like this. 8 times 5 is 40, which is 4. And sometimes 7 is 49, which is 4.
Yeah.
It's always going to be a shear. consistent.
And one you're moving backwards, one, or moving forward one, and then the next time you're moving backwards, two,
Right.
forward. Yeah.
Now 4 times 4 is 16, which is 7. So I go this way, and I go, what is it? 2 times 8 is 16, which is 7. And then 1 times 7 is 7. And 5 times 5 is 25, which is 7.
Isn't that fractal though? That's fractal.
This whole thing's a fractal. I have a chart in here that not only, that I don't have to say one word, that is so beautiful, what's actually behind this board that you're going to get to
So
see.
it's that squared plus whatever you... Oh, that's...
Except that this whole thing, doesn't it also have its own mirror image behind it?
Yeah, but, and
But it has no...
I'm listening to there is no but. Yes, it has a mirror image, but there's certain laws, there's certain rules, we just have to understand what those are. You're already qualified now, you understand enough that you can tell me what that mirror image is and how that mirror image works. That's what we're trying to go after. Is what is that location? Based on up, down, right, and left, front and back. We'll get there.
It's other worlds, I would think.
Now.
Other places that we can tap into to get to? To go places. No? They're here. Well, that's what I mean. They're here, but in another frame of mind, like in another type of not the physical plane.
It's all interrelated. Most of it. The only thing that's not a physical plane is the 396s. It gets easy. We'll keep working on it. It's a little bit hard right now because I started you from a coil as opposed to the map. But we'll see.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure
Okay.
how to work it.
I wasn't going to pull out this chart. I wasn't going to go into this, but I decided to do it now. Anyway,
One away.
for the sake of thoroughness.
Yeah.
Okay, we ready? What? Oh no.
Okay, top quiz.
Yeah.
Now,
Century double.
this method of teaching is called programming. We are programming you. You will have 12 more hours of this.
What's my place in all of this?
What would your place? What is your place in everything normally?
I think that I'm supposed to tell other people about it.
So you're a teacher. That's right.
Oh, is that it?
He says, go join. He says, go out and join them. There's a tablet. Blah, blah, blah. I know, a real beautiful tablet. Rejoin those and tell them, the message. Here we go. 1, 2, 4, 8, 16. It's a very primitive chart. The binary code is a 6-number digit repeating pattern in the decimal system, 124875. This is considered the binary code. This is computer switching. I call it on and off. But I've already said 0 is not the member of any multiplication series. Okay? 0 and 1 cannot be the computers of the future. It just doesn't work. That's why they're so slow and obsolete. Okay? And this toroid system is the supercomputer. But I'm just showing one point, which is the score. Content versus quality. As we have one point here, what is its content? 1. So there's your quality to the right and content to the left. Got it? Now we have 2 points here. What's their content? 2. Does everyone understand that? No. What's their quantity? 2. Okay. And what's their content? A 5. Now we have, that's what a reciprocal is.
I'm not paying attention here very well.
Okay. Now we have 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And what's their content? 0.25, which equals a 7.
Oh, okay, right.
Oh, I
Right. Wait a minute.
Okay?
See, how does 5.5 make 5?
It's not 0.5, 0.5, because we're only looking at each one. There's 4, one of these. Okay? And each one of those 4 represent 0.125. No, they represent 0.25, which you're looking at the top. 1, 2, 3, 4. It is a pyramid. It is. I'm showing you that the binary system is a pyramid, but it's a pyramid that is not binary.
So on the right is...
If anything, it's
on the right is the branch number, and on the left is the the value of the function.
So you made a little contraption that makes a little zippy that is designed off of the holy name vibration?
Yeah.
Oh.
1, 5, 7, 8, 4, 2. That's all harmonics. That's all it is. Doesn't it?
That's 2, 7, yeah.
It's like the name. Well, you can hear electricity when you're walking down the street on the pole. Zapping has a rate and a frequency. All right, so they're doubling circuits in reverse directions. So these doubling circuits, again, are significant. Okay, that's all I was pointing out.
2, 7, polarity.
Okay. Now with that chart.
What's the 2, 7 polarity?
All right. I showed the vortex in, out, last but least point, which is not going to be, I showed the 2 and 5 is not accident. As long as we're on these charts, I'm showing the vortex action. I'm showing how it moves in a vortex. I'm showing infinity. It's just a cosmic grinder. Okay, I'm showing the music scale. Classic musical scale is the doubling circuits too. From C to C to C is 1, 128, which is 11, which is 2, 256, 13, 4, 5, 12 is 8. Same thing. Your doubling circuits. I said the ancients did know this, and that pretty much sums that up right there. Okay. 5, 1, 2. 128 is 11, 2, 256, 13, 4, 5, 12, 8, 1024. 7. Remember, 7 always comes after the 8, not before. 1, 2, 4, 8, 7, 5. Okay. Do you have that? Sunshine? Okay. Real quick. Okay, pull your chair a little closer.
Yeah.
I think we need like a mental doggy bag to take some of the time.
Yeah, really.
No, just squeeze her in the middle. Actually, take a second and let's make Sunshine squeeze in here. Okay, there you go. Not too far. Come closer now.
Intellectual enzymes.
You turn your chair a little bit like this towards me. Help her, Sunshine.
So how come all these
Okay,
brilliant
good.
people haven't figured this out?
Because they're using ones and zeros instead of nines.
Well, that's the whole.
There's
And they
stuff
don't
in
use
literature
numerology.
about groups mod 9. I know there is, because I've worked with it in group theory textbooks.
But there's nobody.
I've never seen it done like this before.
There's no, but that's right. This is a different kind of process.
This is really, really rich territory for mathematics, at least. That's my
So the whole.
It's a whole new
Yeah, it's very
frontier.
rich. But I just don't know whether if you got a real good number theorist from some university would say, oh, that's just, I did that last year or something like that.
I've never-
Not anybody that-
There ain't a teacher around who's ever seen this before that can explain it.
But there's parts of this that are the ideas are pretty standard. Like 3, 6, 9 being a subgroup.
It isn't what they already know. It's the fact they've never unified it.
Right. I haven't ever seen it like this.
Yeah. Right. That's the problem is they can't see what the universe is doing. They say, oh, maybe it's expanding. Maybe it's going to keep on going forever. Maybe it's going to collapse on itself. They don't know. Okay, I do know. This, you're going to know with this. Okay, go ahead, Judy.
The Turing model. Of
The what?
The Turing.
Okay, I would have liked to apply this a lot to computers, but did you get that point right there on the music scale yet?
I can't even see that.
You know what? It's the cycles
You
per
have-
second,
you-
which
you gotta
say
keep-
what it was.
You got it. I will.
So it's by thirds.
No,
I'm sorry, I can't see.
I know. I'm sorry. It's not your fault. The chart's too small.
No, if I go bog, that's
I'm gonna
C,
say it
right?
again.
It's got a resonance. And so the resonance is a certain number of cycles per second, right? So he's got down there's 256 cycles per second for C. If you add 2, 5, and 6, what do you get? You get
13, which equals 4.
13, and 3 plus 1 is 4. And 4 equals into the equation of all of the things that you just was here.
What are the other
That's exactly
What
right.
are the other numbers that you
512 is your next C, which is 8. And you know 4, there's 8. And you know 7 always comes after 8. And the next C is 1024.
So 4, so what,
Go 4, 7, 1 again.
so 4,
Hmm?
Should we go 4, 7, 1 again?
5 comes after 7.
so,
Okay, so sure enough, we got 2,048 is the next frequency of C. 2 and 4, 6, 8 and 6 is 14. 1 plus 4 is 5.
frequencies you're doing right there. Does that work with the others, with A and, the other octaves on the...
They're the same distance. Actually, everything that I'm explaining, I'm not a musician. So I've never even written a paper on how this relates to music, because you see how much there is already, and there's so much. I actually am hoping that Sunshine, I hate to say Sunshine, but I'm retiring after this talk this evening, and you're going to have to do the work on explaining it on the music scale, because musicians could be a whole group of people that you could be teaching about the number 9 and how it relates to metaphysics and divinity and things. So essentially what I'm doing is I'm just giving her I'm just giving her an Uzi.
It works for A.
So
It does work
It
for
does,
her.
because 220 is the low A, 440 is the high A, the next one up. And then the doubling of that would be,
Well, it's the electromagnetic fields. It's the way you're going to
That's pretty powerful now. So when we listen to music and they say it's the wings of in the high scripture says it's the wings of the soul to the heaven, the spiritual wings. So it really is electromagnetically in harmonics. Now I'll tell you something that we have a question here, but I'll tell you something that Alistair did say, and he was exactly right. He said that I forgot. He said that the harmonics. I forgot. Oh well, you were right, Alistair. Go ahead.
So it kind of sounds like what you're giving us is like the theory that can be applied to every part of our culture, whether it's science, math, music, religion. It's basically, it's
the thing everybody's looking for.
I'm giving you your attaché case.
In every field of
Reason.
Just watch out for the gun that shoots backwards.
It's like the reason, giving us the reason.
That's right. That's really correct. Thanks. The meaning of life, to answer the questions. Why do we live? What is our purpose? What is our goal? Where are we going to? What do we come from?
How about this for an idea? You're talking about the 9, the 6, and the 3. And when the 9 is positive and the 6 and 3 are both negative, some friends of ours that came from Los Angeles spoke. They were Baha'is, and they were explaining how two people that are in love, if they are focusing on God, they're like little mirrors, and they're reflecting the light towards God. And yet, if they're focusing on themselves or each other too much, then they're not reflecting the light, and they're not getting anything either from God. So if you're dwelling on yourself too much, you can't be absorbing any of this good energy, which is also like this, because when you think about it, these two things that are negative, they're actually receiving.
That's right.
And also, if they were positive, they're actually X's, which means X's is like negative, in a way. Positives are negative, you know what I mean?
I don't know what you mean, but I know you're completely right. I don't know what you mean by exit, but you're exactly right. They are receiving.
It's like an X. A positive sign, like a cross, is like an X. Right? So it means you're wrong when you're actually thinking that you're so good not to be receiving. Like you should be receiving from the higher energy. You know what I mean?
You've got to always be tapping and receiving. You've got to hold on to it completely, even in your sleep. That's right. You've always got to, it's called your invisible cord that connects you. And you always want to be able to be focused and at your epicenter, focal center. Be an athlete when you're moving and you're exercising, or when you're praying or worshiping. And the highest form is to know the name of God and intonate it and touch into that vibration. What you just said is really right. Another example is like when we look out on the ocean and the moon's on it, and we see the sea of 70,000 lights. They look like little lanterns, but we know in reality they're all reflecting from just that one moon. Okay, and the only time we see that little reflection is when those facets are at the right angle. It's like a Swarovski Austrian leaded crystal prism. Okay, the crystal glows and has a fire on it because the facets are all focused. They all have the epicenter, and they're all prismatic. They're a mirror. These numbers, everything I've really come here is about to turn into a prism. Behind this sheet is a prism with immense facets. And Charlie's seen that prism, so he knows what's going on. And you're about to see it too. Before we go to that prism, was there one more thing then that we should cover? I just want to say that I cracked the code to the Enneagram, but we won't try and do it. You were going to talk about the Turing in computers, but I honestly think that the best application of my work is to computer sciences. That's why I'm going to be speaking at the Maui Computer Center. And maybe if you have the time, you'll come. I'm a little frightened that most of them won't understand what I'm going to say. If you don't come, it's fine. Only thing is that there is no board here other than me showing a few fractals which you were interested in artificial intelligence. I don't address the computers. I do address it. I don't do it is the difference. I didn't make these coils. There has to be computer inventors and programmers and softwares that are going to have to do this. I don't have the resources to start working on computers. If I had a laboratory, if I had a budget and an office and all that stuff, I'd be applying it to computers and technology. A lot of people want to apply my work to that. I do have the answer, but so I'm not going to jump into the Turing right now.
What you're going to need is a bulletproof vest. That's what you're going to need. You'll stay safe.
There's nothing I can do about that.
Yeah.
My bulletproof vest, you know what it really is? You were going to say something, Kitty?
Oh, God.
Okay, but I feel bad saying that I didn't go into the Turing. So say what you want to say about the Turing.
When you showed the binary system was 2 and 7, it immediately, hello, it's like it doesn't work, and there are no zeros. And how smart do you have to be to see that?
Yeah, I know. It's shocking. Because what they're doing is they're saying things in science predicated on things that are fallacious, and it's just amazing. In other words, they are fudging. Don't rub your eye too hard. Okay. Now, here's the thing. If you're worried about protecting yourself, then you don't have the time to be doing other things. So I've ignored that issue too. Quanticized from relativistic to quantum. He actually said that. He had a funny saying. He said they're actually going to be very frightened of me, which they are, because he said that it took somebody out of the right field that came in through the side door from another approach because they haven't been able to solve it. That makes sense. It's somebody that was off the wall would figure it out, and that's the problem. So I've never had a threat from any government or agency ever. And I have had a few scientists get drunk, and when they're sober, say my work's the best and most wonderful they've ever seen and stuff like that, and how could they not have read my book 6 months sooner and this and that. And then, when they got drunk, they called me, you this, you that. I can't remember all the things they say, but about the 20th word was a scandalous Scotsman, and my best friend who was with me really burst into laughter on that. Called me everything in the book. So, and I like that, I don't know. So, okay. So we did cover this chart, which I normally forget. We couldn't even touch this unless we had the toroid. Maybe we'll come back to it. I'll leave it up here. Maybe not. We'll see. Because it is interesting how it relates this to the toroid. Okay. We are now then going to pull it down. And we're about to get complicated. Okay. Everybody ready? Oh, wait 1 second.
It's interesting the two teachers are the ones talking about it.
Right. Very good point. Okay, you guys over there, just a sec. You ready?
We're about to present, but
We need your help.
Yeah.
We need your help on this. Okay. I'm going to want you guys to chart the way This is Judy and Charlie. I'm going to want you to chart the way how this toroid, how this semblance right here is going to be a three-dimensional system. We're going to try and take everybody into dimension now. Okay? Because all this has ever been is a flat, straight line cross-section of a circle. Okay? We're going to now take them into dimension. And Charlie knows how a little bit.
Yeah, I remember from yesterday a little bit about that.
Okay.
My students probably remember better.
And he has great students. They're focused, they're concentrated.
I'll ask them what they remember. And yeah.
Okay.
They probably, Willow, I'm sure, remembers. Because she was the one that was, and then Renee was trying to ask her a little bit.
We have right here, so I'm telling you the answer before we go with Charlie's tonight. We're all going to try and help you understand. This right here, the reason these 2 points are different than these 2 points is this is telling you simply, nothing fancy, this is a coordinate system. A simple coordinate system, you have an X, Y, Z axis. Okay? Okay, this is your X, this is your Y, and this is your Z. Everyone follow that?
Z comes out at you, essentially?
Z comes out at you, like that. It's the dandelion puff principle. It's really coming out this way, but it's in a phasing of thirds. Thirds means that it's coming out. This one's little, this is medium, and this is long. And the next one coming out to it, if this is representing a tile or a space, there's going to be 1, 2, 3 before that space is ever activated again. It's always in thirds. So they're just not shooting out randomly. It's really, I'm so privileged to be understanding, to be able to mentally think of this. Because when I was just a little kid, I saw the books they wrote at this, the most advanced professor in the world, Eddington, and he was a wonderful guy. But it was the same as your children telling you a story at night before you go. It was like Alvin and Clive's, and what is it? Some Dewey Hamster. He always gets his head chewed off at the end. It was a hamster story. Everything's a hamster story. So I really feel blessed to be able to get out of the hamster story and learn about how this energy sprays out. It's like a fountain. It's the fountain of life. Okay? So, the X-axis, now it turns out what I'm doing is I'm doing an X coordinate system, and it's going to be all your family number groups of 1, and it's going to be all your family number groups of 4 on the Y. So I better circle my number because it's becoming messy. And this one right here is going to be my family number group to 7. See the same? Sloppy 7.
4 is part of the 1 group, though.
Huh?
No, because they occupy different points. It's the same. They're the same family number group,
Right.
But we're not talking about family number groups right now. I'm showing you how the spatial orientation, how this point is so significant from this. These are all the planes of architecture.
So 1 and 8, you're going to say are equivalent now in this system? Or what?
Oh, we're getting there.
Okay.
It's pretty
But
tricky. I might say that the most brilliant seismic engineer and architect in Mexico looked at this, and he just knew what it was immediately. I wish I was as smart as him. It took me years. He said it was all the planes of spatial orientation. Okay, and you're doing it fast because you've already jumped to the 8. Where's the 1 and 8? I superimpose a double coordinate system. This is your 8. This is now your 5. Remember 4 and 5 are opposites? And this is, actually, it's not going in. It's going the reverse. This is your